Hey there, I'm your lawyer. I'm Mr. Dicky Do. That's right. And I'm going to be representing you in this matter. Yeah, yeah, go ahead and get your laughs out right now. Dicky Do. Unfortunately, that is my last name, and well, it's a name that I was made fun of for most of my life, unfortunately. Looking at your information right here, you're Mr. Brennan, correct? Right. Well, I like to begin this by first explaining a little bit of my story, and then, of course, we'll get to yours. Dicky Do, of course, was a name that, well, for most of my life I was made fun of for, and I've been a lawyer now for a little while, and I guess it's laugh now, cry later. A few of my former classmates I've actually had the pleasure of representing in the courtroom, and let's just say they're doing life now. You want to make fun of me, you rotten mother... I'm I'm not kidding about the fact that they're serving life, and I'm not also kidding about the fact that I found great pleasure in representing them in those matters that led to those life sentences. But neither here nor there. Keep laughing, Mr. Brennan. Yeah, we'll see how that's going to work out for you up in the courtroom. So no need for you to tell me anything right this second. I'm looking at your charges here, and it appears you're locked up for a home invasion. Is that correct? Of course. Right. Of course you didn't do it. You know how many times I've heard that? Quite a few. Right. Also, let me go ahead and cut to the chase right here. I'm not a paid lawyer, at least not for you. Do you have any money? Because I do work for tips, sort of like a frickin' waiter here. I'm a court-appointed lawyer, a public pretender, I've often heard it referred to as. I don't take lightly to those type of remarks. I do have an oath to obtain. Being a servant of the court, it is my duty as a public defender to ensure that you're going to take a plea bargain. Right, because we're not taking this to trial. What? You do actually want to take this to trial. Right, because of course you didn't do it. Mr. Brennan, why don't you go ahead and tell me how you found yourself here? Yeah, I've heard that a lot. I've heard addiction is the number one leading factor to a lot of the guys that I represent, as a matter of fact. Okay. Okay, you were hanging out with a bunch of guys, getting high, stealing car parts, catalytic converters to be more specific. Right. Yeah. Somehow ended up in some old lady's home. You don't really know much of the details. You're a little foggy on it, and the next thing you knew, you woke up in jail, seeing yourself on the news. And also, sort of looks here like becoming a target in the housing unit. Do you know how many people are on your case right here? I've got your motion of discovery right here in front of me, and it's not pretty. There's quite a few inmate snitches, it appears, jailhouse snitches, that are ready to testify against you. What type of information would they have against you, Mr. Brennan, about you? Have you been in the housing unit talking about your case? You have been. Little Dookie Stain. That's a name that I've heard quite often, actually. Told you he was a jailhouse lawyer. Told you he was going to help you with your case. Mr. Brennan, have you ever been in trouble before? You haven't. Right. Well, even not ever being in trouble, you would imagine that another inmate probably isn't going to be able. Is he going to be able to represent you in the court? Is he wearing a blazer like I am? No, he's wearing an orange jumpsuit like you are. What do you think he's going to be able to do for you in the courtroom? And I asked that rhetorically because let me tell you what he's going to be able to do for himself in the courtroom. You're actually right about that. Yep, he's going to testify against you and hope for a sentence modification or time reduction. Can you see how that's probably not going to play in your favor? Yeah, of course you can. Now you can, right? Starting to come to a little better. Now the drugs are wearing off. Look, I sympathize with you 100% that an addiction was your plight. But unfortunately for you tonight, there's a flight. And it's heading straight to prison. Look, Mr. Brennan, I've already talked with the prosecutor. They're willing to offer you a plea deal. You just need to plead guilty. I've got a 12:30 lunch that I'd like to be able to make. They've offered you a plea deal for 62 years. Just go ahead and plead guilty to the home invasion, the abduction, the robbery, the kidnapping, the malicious wounding, the attempted murder. They're going to drop. Yes, Mr. Brent, I know that sounds like a lot of charges to plead guilty to, and I know 62 years sounds like an assload of time to commit to. But the prosecutor has agreed to drop a few charges. They're going to drop the simple possession. They're going to drop the probation violation. And they're also going to drop the failure to appear. I know, Mr. Brennan, those are all misdemeanors except for the probation violation. But that's the best that I've been able to do. Look, I owe this prosecutor. What do you mean you're not going to take the deal? Mr. Brennan, I am a public defender, a servant of the court. There's no other options here. Right. We're going to go up in there and you're going to fire me. Mr. Brennan, who else? Actually don't have any lenses in these glasses right here, but sure looks like it. Mr. Brennan, who else is going to represent you up in the courtroom? Lil Dookie Stain? Is that who you're thinking? Sorry. My dogs. They were going crazy out there. Thought they had gotten out of the yard. Again, I'm back, Mr. Brennan. Sorry, I had to go talk with the prosecutor one last time and just confirm our lunch commitment. Look, we need to hurry up and seal this deal, seal your fate, so to speak. You're going to take the plea deal. There's no other options for you. You can go in there and try to fire me, and in fact, you'd probably be doing us both a favor, but let me assure you, there's not a lot of other options out there aside from myself. The prosecutor actually, yeah, that's right, the prosecutor actually wanted to give you 80 years. Your charge was a high-profile case. It made the news. The elderly woman in question who was duct taped. Do you remember that, Mr. Brennan? You don't remember those details? They're a little foggy to you because of the bender that you were on? Right. You feel sorry for her. You're sorry. Sorry. Sorry doesn't take away the two black eyes that this woman had plastered all over the news. Right. You guys stole a toaster oven and an air fryer. And unfortunately for you, your life is pretty much over because of that. I'm sorry. I hate to be the one to call the kettle black here, but unfortunately for you, your days, well, there's going to be some dark clouds ahead of you. Let's go ahead and look on the bright side here. 62 years. You'll serve 85% of that. With good behavior, you could be out in as early as 50. You're 23 right now. I know. You'll be 70-something years old. There'll still be some life ahead of you, though. You know what they say, prison preserves a guy. You could come out at 70 years old feeling just as young and vigorous as the 23-year-old young man that you are right now. You know, we make decisions in life that ultimately we have to pay the price for. And unfortunately for you, Mr. Brennan, you made a seriously wrong decision that night. You and your other two co-defendants decided to go up into Miss Margarine's residence for that toaster oven and that air fryer. What's that? Oh, how much time did your co-defendant? Well, your co-defendants, unfortunately, they're testifying against you as well. They've both been offered plea deals for 25 years. And unfortunately, you're going to be the one to hold the bag, so to speak. No pun intended in this. Oh, you want to cooperate as well? Well, that kind of changes everything. You do want to cooperate. I should have mentioned that was an option. I'm going to go talk with the prosecutor right now and see if we can have a little Western type of a powwow shootout up in the courtroom, fingers pointing in every which direction, and see what the prosecutor is willing to do if you are willing to testify on your co-defendants as well. I'd also like to ask you one other question real quick before I go speak with this prosecutor. You wouldn't happen to have any information on little Dookie Stain, would you? You don't. Well, that's unfortunate. That's a guy whose ass I've been trying to burn for a long time. He's been in this jail for a couple of years now, and I can't tell you how many cases I've watched him testify against, playing the jailhouse snitch role. He's actually crucified a couple of my previous defendants. And I sure got an axe to grind with that guy. I don't know why. I don't get paid very much to do this. I'm making $17 an hour as a public defender. I should have started a painting business, for God's sakes. Look, let me go talk with the prosecutor real quick, see what he has to say about the fact that you're willing to cooperate, and who knows, maybe 62 years is something that we can do a little better with. Give me a few minutes. I'll be right back. All right, I just talked with the prosecutor, and good news. He has been willing to negotiate a little bit. Look, we don't have a lot of time left. Lunch is coming up pretty quickly, and there's a burger calling my name. Look, the prosecutor said if you're willing to testify against your co-defendants, he's willing to do a little better. He's willing to offer you 57 years in exchange for your cooperation. I know it's not much better. But again, you do have a high-profile, very heinous case. And, well, unfortunately, it's not going to get much better than that. 62 years, 57 years. He's wiping off 5 years. He's taking 5 years off. You should be... That's breakfast. You should be so inclined to take a deal. So generous. Do you realize y'all duct taped this elderly woman? Put her in a bathtub. And I'm not sure where the two black guys came in between the time of the duct taping and the bathtub. But somewhere along the line, somebody whooped this old lady's ass. And there's going to be hellfire to pay up inside of the courtroom. Now, there is a little bit of light at the end of this tunnel. The prosecutor has agreed to continue this matter for a week to let you write up your statement, prepare your testimony against your co-defendants. And I need to tell you something, Mr. Brennan. The better you do with this testimony, the more that you can provide in the sense of information, the better, potentially, the prosecutor may be willing to do. And I'll go ahead and commit to this. If you can get me some information on little Dookie Stain, I give you my word, I'll make sure that sentencing is a lot better than 57 years. How does 47 years sound? Think about it. The more you do, the less you may have to do. The ball's in your court, Mr. Brennan. Get some information. Because I'm going to tell you again, I'm not a paid lawyer. We're not going up into this courtroom playing OK Corral. I'm not Jose Baez, the world-renowned criminal defense attorney who represented Casey Anthony. You've seen the Lifetime movies, I'm sure. That's all they watch in jail. Crazy enough. That and BET. But get some information, Mr. Brennan. It's for your own good. I'll meet with you again in a week. And we'll see what we can do. You ready to play ball? 62 years, 57 years, 47 years. We're talking football numbers here, Mr. Brennan. Are you willing to do that time? Or instead, are you ready to let somebody else do that time for you? You be the judge and jury that's going to hang you out to dry if you don't. Talk with you in a week. Enjoy the sweat meat sandwich in the paper bag right there. I'm going to go eat me a nice bacon cheeseburger for lunch. It's all I can afford. I'm making $17 an hour as a public pretender. Talk with you in a week, Mr. Brennan. Have a good day.